So that brings me on to the portfolio of diabetes research that has been funded so far. And there are 7 projects within the 10 projects that have been funded as part of this science challenge, which are either directly related to diabetes, prediabetes, or at least have some interaction or involvement. And I'll just tell you very briefly about each of these because I haven't got time to go into any significant detail. So this project here called Allahora is in the space of personalised prevention. It's a focus on Maori and Pacific health using technology. So these are the researchers who are leading the research. It's essentially using an mHealth approach, so an app. And the critical bit about this research is that it's a co-design with communities. So the researchers have gone out to people in the community and said, these are the issues. What do you think about these issues? How can we go about actually creating something that's going to be actually useful for you? And working together to actually develop this technology. The other thing about this research is that it's going to, you can see down the bottom, the opportunities for continuous passive collection of big health data. I don't know about you in the room, but the whole concept of this scares me a little bit, the big brother sort of a thing. But actually, potentially, there's a lot of use of this if we can passively collect information, and that can then help inform further changes to the approaches we're making in the space. So the mHealth, the app, includes goal setting for people in terms of lifestyle change, intervention messages to help them stick with what they're wanting to do, what they've chosen to do, and some very basic but important information accessible from the app, etc. So it's using technology is the bottom line. The next project that's been funded, Hipekanga Waiora, is work looking at how to actually engage and involve Maori communities, to use the knowledge that's already there, but to say, actually, how can we help Maori communities to pick this up, to work with it, to make an actual difference, a meaningful difference, towards reducing health inequalities that we see, as I say there, to improve the uptake and implementation of these programs, and to do it at a community level. The third one is one that I'm leading, which is preventing type 2 diabetes with probiotics and prebiotics. So this is on the back of a growing understanding that the bugs in our gut, of which there are many more of them than there are of our own cells, the bugs in our gut have massive implications and influence on our health. And it's been shown that this is particularly important for energy metabolism, so risk of developing obesity, but also in terms of glucose metabolism. And so we know that certain patterns of gut microbiota can be very important in terms of the way we metabolize glucose. And there's been work internationally and in New Zealand here showing that certain probiotics can influence this, seen in the space of gestational diabetes and other areas. And so this project is combining a specific probiotic that is available through Fonterra here in New Zealand with a cereal, which we know is the food that the probiotic feeds on, to see whether this combination and a very simple intervention can actually help to prevent the progression of prediabetes to diabetes. And one of my team were here earlier on. Some of you, I hope, might have had the opportunity to speak to Chris early on and get some information about this study. We're just in the process of beginning to recruit for it. Another project is, again, looking at translation of existing knowledge. So Matt Harwood in Auckland is using a Allahora approach to translate existing information to really try and make a difference, again, co-designed with the community to implement some of the information that we know can work. It's just getting it to work in the real world. Another technology-based approach, a different app. One of my colleagues, Di Safati here in Wellington, is leading a team which is using the Better Me project, again using technology-based approach, which has already been pre-tested to see whether or not people engage with this and helps them to make and sustain the lifestyle changes that we know can work. RIS is doing a project in Pacific communities, again looking at empowering the community to take on the information and make a difference. And the key thing about this project is very much focusing on youth, so those up to the age of 25, and really again looking at how we can help Pacific communities to address obesity and pre-diabetes lifestyle change in that community, or in those communities. And then finally, a systems type approach to improving connectedness within the community, recognizing that one of the things that's happened over time is that our communities have often become a little less connected than they once were, and perhaps that's an influence, and looking at ways of understanding that and trying to bring communities back together again to enhance behavioural change. That's a much broader piece of work, but does include some focus on diabetes. I've included this one, which is not actually a project specifically part of the Science Challenge, but is one that we're again running here in Wellington, and Paddy, my PhD student, he was here earlier on as well. This is a study which is saying people, Pacific people and Indian people are both at the highest risk of developing diabetes in New Zealand, as you saw from the graphs earlier on, and yet often have very, very different body composition. In other words, the proportion of lean mass and fat mass is very different often in those communities. And so why is it that those people have such high rates of diabetes and yet seem so different fundamentally? We're trying to drill down onto that question. And that particular study is focusing on people with pre-diabetes, but also those with newly diagnosed or early type 2 diabetes, to try and pull things back at a stage, that stage. And this is comparing an exercise resistance training program or a weight loss program, say, well, if we know that this is your body composition, does this approach work better than that approach? So trying to tailor it to individuals.